The Art of War by Sun Tzu. Chapter 2. Waging War. How to engage in combat.
Sun Tzu said, in the operations of war, where there are in the field 1,000 swift chariots, as many heavy chariots, and 100,000 mail-clad soldiers, with provisions enough to carry them 1,000 li. The expenditure at home and at the front, including entertainment of guests, small items such as glue and paint, and the sum spent on chariots and armor will reach a total of 1,000 ounces of silver per day. Such is the cost of raising an army of 100,000 men. In the first chapter, we talked about the comparison of the strengths on both sides in war and the assessment of risks. In the second chapter, we will talk about the budget of costs and how to ensure resources. The chariot, which is pulled by 4 horses, there are 3 armored soldiers on the chariot, followed by 72 infantrymen, similar to the tactics of tanks, and the infantry follows the chariot. The lighter car refers to the baggage car, which is used to carry food, war tools, cooking utensils, clothes, and other supplies. A lighter car is equipped with 10 cooks, 5 custodians, 5 housekeepers, and 5 wood cutters and water collectors, a total of 25 people. 1,000 chariots pulled by 4 horses need to be equipped with 75,000 people, and 1,000 baggage cars need to be equipped with 25,000 people, adding up to a total of 100,000 troops. Because the number of troops to be supported is large, the battle line is long, and food and grass need to be transported, as well as chariots and armored equipment, etc. And it is also necessary to communicate with various countries and arrange supplies. So, a lot of money must be spent every day to maintain the normal operations of the military camp. It is the same for modern warfare. Wars are a test of economic strength, a competition of national financial capability, and a country's industry manufacturing capability. Once a war begins, the economic pressure on both sides is enormous. When you engage in actual fighting, if victory is long in coming, then many weapons will grow dull and their order will be damped. If you lay siege to a town, you will exhaust your strength. Again, if the campaign is protracted, the resources of the state will not be equal to the strength. This sentence explains an important feature of war. War is for win, for profit. If it lasts too long and consumes too much, the gains will not outweigh the losses. Because of long-term war, the country will be dragged down. Take the Russian-Ukrainian war as an example. The prime ministers of the 2 countries need to buy weapons and soldiers from all over the world. Ukraine has borrowed a lot of money from the United States and the European Union. Ukraine is currently in huge debt and has become the second largest borrower of the International Monetary Fund. Its debt is $13.8 billion, exceeding the debtor country Egypt, which has borrowed $13.6 billion. The situation in Russia is also not optimistic. At the beginning of 2024, the expenditure in 2 months had reached 6.5 trillion rubles, about $69.4 billion, while the income in the same period was 5 trillion rubles, about $43.4 billion, which made the Russian Ministry of Finance almost exhaust the annual deficit limit. Now, when your weapons are dulled, your other debt, your strength exhausted, and your treasure spent, other chieftains will spring up to take advantage of your extremity. Then no man, however wise, will be able to avoid the consequences that must ensue. If a country is dragged into the war for a long time, its real support and diplomacy will have problems. If other countries take this opportunity to demand benefit from it, the country at war will have no way to fight back, and can only be forced to accept it. Taking the Russian-Ukrainian war as an example, the biggest beneficiary of the global war must be the American arms dealer. According to the data released on the official website of the U.S. government, in 2023, the amount of arms transfer in foreign defense services and security corporations of the U.S. government reached $80.9 billion, an increase of 55.9% compared with the $51.9 billion in fiscal year 2022. The total sales of arms dealers reached $157.5 billion, an increase of 2.5% year-on-year. Last year, the total arms sales of the U.S. government and enterprises increased by 16% to $238 billion. Most of the European arms business went to the United States. Data shows that the U.S. government has also won arms contract with Poland, Germany, the Czech Republic, Norway, and Bulgaria in next 10 years, with a total value of more than $70 billion. For example, Lockheed Martin alone had annual sales of $67.6 billion, a net profit of nearly $7 billion, and returned $9 billion to shareholders through dividends and stock buybacks. The essence and basic business logic of the Russian-Ukrainian war is that the U.S. government gains. The Ukrainians fight desperately. European countries are dragged into the quagmire and have to increase their defense budgets. And Russia's economy is in recession. But the ultimate beneficiary are the U.S. military-industry complex, in the benefit of capital flow from the United States. Here is a brief introduction. The U.S. military industry enterprises have formed a community of interest with the local governments. In order to win more defense budgets, they bundle enterprises and expand the market. In 2023, the original U.S. defense budget was $813 billion, accounting for 1/6 of the U.S. government's annual fiscal expenditure, almost equal to the total military budget of other countries. But the military industry complex still feels that the money was not enough to spend. After negotiating in Congress, the budget was finally raised to $857.9 billion, an increase of more than 10% over the previous fiscal year. However, this is not all. The defense budget is only part of the U.S. national security expenditure. If all the expenditure on intelligence system, homeland security, etc. are added up, the total amount exceeds $1 trillion, which is about 5 times that of China. In addition, the U.S. military-industry complex is backed by a large consortium. For example, BlackRock is one of the major shareholders of Boeing, Lockheed Martin, and Northrop Grumman. The boss of General Electric is Morgan. And Rockefeller is a big backer of the Westinghouse Electric Corporation and Martin. What is even more frightening is that these financial groups also control the mainstream media in the United States, almost monopolizing nearly 90% of traditional media channels, and social media is becoming more and more concentrated. In 1961, Eisenhower warned in his farewell speech that we must prevent the military-industrial complex from intentionally or unintentionally gaining undue influence. In fact, before Eisenhower's term ended, the military-industrial complex in the United States was already unsinkable and had a certain influence. Today, they are even more involved in the government, the military, the business community, scientific research institutions, think tanks, in the public opinion circle, and have great prestige. They can not only influence the will of the U.S. government, but also manipulate the decision of foreign governments. Thus, though we have heard of stupid, hasted in war, cleverness has never been seen associated with long delays. There is no instance of a country having benefited from prolonged warfare. It is only one who is thoroughly acquainted with the evils of war that can thoroughly understand the profitable way of carrying it on. Sun Tzu advocated that a country should steadily accumulate military strength and gradually have the power to crush others, rather than easily launch an attack and fall into the harm caused by a long-term war. According to Sun Tzu's thoughts, whether it is Ukraine, Russia, or the European Union, they will eventually be dragged down by a long-term war, and their interests will be plundered by other countries. Sun Tzu believes that war is a gamble of interest. Consider avoiding harm first, then consider seeking benefits. Therefore, avoiding harm is much more important than seeking benefits. Before the war, you should first calculate the harm and consequences brought by the war, and then calculate the benefits brought by the war.